John Brock's been the shit forever.
I didn't know.
Found out, Joel. That's what I found out, bro.
John Brock is the
Guys,
shit.
we're live on Facebook now.
All right, we're live. Dave, take it away.
All right. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Hit and Sit show number 27. This is Conference USSSA. This is our Hit and Sit show. I'm David Baer, your host. I'm pitcher for Siteman, swing Suncoast. We've got a good group of panelists today, including a couple of champions from this previous duel. We've got a couple of returning folks in Joel and DW. Joel is the shortstop for S&E, swings DeMarini. DW, of course, from conferenceuSSSA.com. And then as far as our champions from this past week, you have Tanai Alston, the captain, middle infielder, hard-hitting individual for Chick-fil-a, swings Louisville Slugger. And, of course, you have Mitch Lendenski, the outfielder for Competitive Edge, also swinging Suncoast. We today are going to go over a slight technical difficulties there. Had a couple of in and out, but no big deal. It is what it is. We're going to go into a couple things about the Texas duel here. Joel, we'll talk about a few things with you first. The teams that y'all played, it looks like you got LSR, MPT, Primetime, West Point, Resi, Dirty Vegas, NFM Lending. Give us a little bit of your thoughts about how the duel went, some of the teams you played, anybody stick out, anything like that?
Yeah. We started with West Point, and I don't remember the last time that I personally beat West Point. And that was like your casual, 30-something to 30-something game. I don't even know how we got there so fast. And then we ended up on top, and I was like, hey, all right. And then we went right into Resmondo. Now, what's funny about when you watch Resmondo forever, you're only thinking about the lightning show that's coming. But it's actually the opposite when it comes to the 300 fields. You'd be like, oh, this is the great equalizer. You go and get it here. And so there's one or two plays that could have changed the outcome of the game, obviously, because you're playing a major team like that. And then this guy named Zach St. Pierre makes this leaping water slide, mom watch me dive into the pool, and then in the 7th inning, and we're like, that's not Scott Hartland. I've never seen that guy do that ever. Oh, sure enough, it wasn't. And I was like, and right there, that won the game for them. They got really lucky on picking that guy up. And then Dirty Vegas, I don't know about you guys, if you guys play them or not as often as we do, but they're really close to figuring it out. And it's really scary. They are right at the end. And I kind of hope, because I like beating them, that's a really good team. NFM Lending always puts up. They were up the entire game against us, maybe 15, and then I think Roccabaldo turned and he goes, "We only need 1 inning to hit," and sure enough, we walked them off. We scored all our runs in the last inning, and Primetime has some. I'm still gonna wrap my head around logic with them. If you don't score 25 runs against them, you're going to lose because they will score their 25. They might not score more. They might not go out of their way and beat the stuffing out of you, but they're going to score theirs with their crafty, technological, crazy-looking swings. And then Rod, I will always mention Rod. He's top 3 in forever. That is your workhorse, golden standard of pitching. And they put it together, and then they beat us, and then we had to play them in the second duel right away, and then we had MPT half arms, half legs, they were all broken. I was like, what's going on? And then I realized we were in a duel, and they've been playing for a long, long time, and everyone's pinch running for everybody, and they still beat us. And then we lost out to LSR. We had no gas in the tank at that point. We keep forgetting that, the duels, you really gotta, as many times as you say, hey, get in shape, get ready to roll, it really sneaks up on you. And then you just have a little doubt throughout the week, so.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I definitely can agree from the standpoint of being wore out. MPT seems to be one of those teams that it sounds like they had a little bit of turmoil over the weekend. Unfortunately, don't have one of them on here, but they're right there on the cusp. Really good team. But tonight we'll go to you. I know you shared a couple of teams there with Joel as far as who you played. Sounds like you played the same team the first duel and second duel first game, or I believe that might have been Mitch. But you got it looks like you played Chick-fil-a. I'm sorry, you played Cheap Suits, Competitive Edge, Epic, NFM Lending, Monsta, Smash It Sports, Resi, and of course the first duel y'all came out lights out, doing everything you had to do, and ended up winning that one. Congratulations again. But tell us a little something about the teams you played, how you felt about the weekend, how did it go overall, all that fun stuff.
I mean, obviously it went well the first duel. I mean, we walked through that one pretty well. We were just on it. I mean, you have those weekends. You may hear me say it at the field sometimes. Sometimes you're the bug. Sometimes you're the windshield. For that first duel, we were the windshield. So it just kind of worked out real well for us. The NFM lending team, to Joel's point, they're good, man. Like, they're really good. Like, it's just a couple things here, a couple plays that we made against them that kind of ended some rallies for them. But they're very, in my opinion, similar to Dirty Vegas. Shout out to Speedy, who are really coming together. And if they figure it out, they're going to be a tough team to really keep up with. So the Epic team, Corey does a good job of putting a team together year in, year out. Shout out to Corey. Corey got me into the arena, so to speak, when way back in the day when I first started with Pure. Like, Corey got me down in Carolina, kind of got me seen, kind of things like that. So appreciate that, Corey. And then obviously we rolled into the big boys. We started out with Monster. Monster, we played a really good game, but we kind of caught Monster the same way they caught us in Cincinnati when they just mollywopped us a couple years ago, like 30-3. Like, it was a game right after we played Mitch and them. I think it was like another emotional game with Competitive Edge. We always play them tough, and we were just kind of beat. And right before we played Monster in Texas, they had just went through like a knockdown, drag it out with my auto jack. So we step on the field, kind of jump on them, and they were just tired. Speaking of what Joel's talking about, not saying that we still don't win that game, but we made some plays. We made some plays to just kind of get that ball rolling of going, okay, you're going to have to either hit it out or hit it through somebody to score right here. And we did a really good job of that. And then that rolled us into the Smash It Sports team, which is, for all intent and purposes, is, a lot of people's pick for the AA championship this year, and their roster, says that. Like, I shouldn't. It's not a knock against anybody in there, but we play pretty well against them, and that's one thing that we do as Chick-fil-A. I feel like all of us really show up for those big games when it's time to play the big boys in AA, when it's time to play Joel, and it's time to play Mitch, and Mitch is major now, but when it's time to play those games, we show up. And it was another game where we really showed up against them, walked it off 36-35 on a walk at the end of the game, but just kind of jumped out early on them. Always enjoy playing against ex-teammates. It's fun playing against Trey. So that's always fun to share the field with him, to see him grow, to see him be the player that he is. And then that rolled us in the Resi. And to Joel's point, when you're playing Resi, you're playing Resi. Like, if I say this all the time, if you're in this world, if you're in this softball world, Resi is your gold standard. They are. Like, there's no knocking that. It's not a knock against MPT. That's not a knock against Competitive Edge. It's not against Monster or any other team out there. But Resi's been doing this for a long time. They got guys on that team that we were swinging their bats back when we were D-ball players. Like, they're still there. Like, Greg Cannell was the Triple Crown winner. Everybody had the Triple Crown bat. Everybody had that. So it's one of those things you can never forget about that. And, again, as a AA team, and, we get up for those games. John creates a really good environment for us to just have a good chemistry and a good kind of bouncing off of each other, that we don't really take anything too seriously. But when we step across those lines, we're real serious. And, not to leave out Competitive Edge, that first duel, obviously we ran into them the second game. It's always a knockdown drag out with us and them. It's going to be that. They're an immensely talented team. Shout out to Miller for giving us a shout out as far as our chemistry and what like that. There's a lot of respect on that field when we play each other. Same thing with Joel, same thing with Bear. Like, it's an awesome game. Like, it's really fun playing those guys. And then, going a step further, we got those games under our belt. We won the duel at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? And that starts the second duel. And Cheap Suits had us. They really had us. And we never really got too down. Again, it's all thanks to one of our players. You guys, he made all tournament for us. His name's Zach Sanford, man. Like, he really keeps us loose. Like, it never really gets too serious. It never really gets too down. Like, he's just a fun-loving, free-spirited guy. And literally, we're down, I think, 24-3, 24-11, something like that. We scored 31 in an inning to come back and win that game. So that was a huge, another one of those moments for us where it was just like, yeah, this is, everybody's throwing it underhanded. And then, you know, we walked into competitive edge with no sleep, and they handled us. Like, the score may not look that way, but they were in control of that game. And then, obviously, they walked through the second duel. So they were ready. They were rested. They got their work done. And that led us into Epic, which I say Epic, it'll be interesting to see where Epic gets put, whether they're going to be an A team or a double A team, because I feel like they could do very well in either one. I'm not going to pick them for A because Primetime's always going to be my pick for A based on what Joel said. They're just solid, and they always play well in Florida. But Epic is going to be a tough matchup if they're in A, and if they're in double A, they're going to be a tough matchup as well. And then that ended it for us. And again, nothing you can do about it. It's just we were the 19th seed going into the first duel. I don't think anyone picked us to win it except us. So it's not like it's a bad thing. But to Joel's point, when you're that far of a seed, because, for example, Rezzy's the number 1 seed. Rezzy has 2 games after the championship game on what, Saturday or Friday night, and they obviously win those games because they're Rezzy. And so they don't play until 5:30 p.m. the next day. If that would have been if we had that option, then maybe we do better in the second duel. But it is what it is. You can't change it now. I would have much rather played one more game Friday night instead of coming back at 7 a.m. Saturday morning. You know what I mean? But you can't do anything about that. That would have meant Mitch would have had to wake up, come play us at literally 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, that's, you don't put that on that team. So, you know, it's a duel. But I think we're going in the right spot. Like I said, you know, I think we're trending in the right direction. It's still early. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We all know this. You're going to have injuries. You're going to have little setbacks. But, again, I think, you know, we have a good thing going over there, and we just kind of do our own thing, man. Like I said, John Natale does a great job of just kind of getting a good core of guys. And, you know, and when we step across that field, you know, we follow each other. We play for each other. And I think that's something that I think we have, not a knock against anybody on the panel, but I think that's something that we have over everybody in the conference. Like, it's truly, we're out there for one another. We're out there for just me and you and the next guy and the next guy. And obviously we all do this because John gives us a place to play. So, you know, it's a good, he has a good system over there. Doesn't really mesh with a lot of other things that people do in the conference, but John does his own thing, and we follow. So.
Absolutely. Well, I you know, to address a couple of things there. One, I hope to have a lot to say against who wins A World at the end of the year. You know, we'll talk about that later on. You know, when we get to play you a few times. But, you know, for those of you that are listening that haven't had a chance to be around the field when Tanai's on the field, you're talking about leadership and playing with each other and all that fun stuff. When you're walking into a complex like Texas, Chick-fil-A was playing back on the Futures field, back left-hand corner of the field. And you're walking in, and you can hear Tanai. The voice just resonates throughout the field, even if you're on the opposite side. That's the kind of thing that really gets some folks going. You can tell you're the kind of the emotional, verbal leader of the team. It's a really good job for y'all this weekend. Congratulations again on winning the first duel. Mitch, we'll move on to y'all. Speaking of those 5 a.m.s, you know, we saw my team Siteman as well as yours were over there. I think we were the only folks in the park. I think we might have beat the workers into the park the other night. Or the other morning, rather. And, you know, we had those nice little lovely 7 o'clock game. I don't have a list of everybody you played, but obviously you're going to have that on top of your head there. Not the duel you wanted, first duel, but a really good second one. How do you think that the duel went overall? Anything that stuck out as far as teams or anything like that?
Yeah, so, I mean, like you said, we didn't play very well the first duel. So there wasn't many other options than to step it up and, you know, start playing some ball the second duel. And we started off playing the same team, both duels, an A team, something contract in DWF. I forget what you said. Okay, Infinity. And, man, they were tough. And I remember, you know, me and some of the fellas were like, man, every A team that we've played so far is just playing their best game against us, you know, and I feel like that happens. I remember coming up, B, A ball, when you're playing these major teams, you get the free swing. You don't have to worry about nothing, right? And that's what these guys were doing to us. And I'll tell you what, their center fielder, I think it was center fielder. Man, I think I'm kind of fast. This dude is lightning. I mean, he smoked the ball, one hop to Bubba Mack. Bubba Mack threw a seed, and I think he still beat it out at first. And Bubba Mack was playing in as well. I mean, this dude he was quick. So I mean, they gave us a tough game. The first duel, I think that was Friday night. Yep, Friday night. And then wake up, we played Chick-fil-A. I mean, I'm pretty sure half the guys rolled in maybe 5 minutes before our game. And I mean, I'll tell you what, I mean, they played great. They did their thing like always. It was a tough fought game. After that, we played Dirty Vegas, which was another tough game. That was kind of in the middle of the day. The wind was kind of blowing in, blowing out. But another tough game. I mean, they've got a great squad. And after that, we played Resi at night. And man, we just happened to be on it. Resi didn't play a bad game. They might have had an error or two that really hurt them that we took advantage of, but we were just on it. I mean, just hitting it. And then after that, we played Nitro, and the Nitro game was kind of interesting. We got up on them early. I think it was like 30-something-5 in the third, and it's late at night. 2 a.m. It's getting cooler out. That ball is becoming a rock. And my boy DeZern tries to go backside, and he blows Farron's foot up. I mean, blows it up. And Farron gets taken out the game. Young blood Mason Farmer comes in and does his thing, and we ended up winning that game. It no middle war really started. I mean, we knew what DeZern was trying to do. We were up big, but they wanted to get back in the game, so they hit a bunch of home runs. But then there was to the point where, like, dang, they started. I mean, the game was getting pretty close, so they started playing the game, and I mean, things happen, So, but we ended up squeaking that one out, won that one, and then Sunday morning woke up, played Resi, and we just stayed on it. That was the first and only game that we hit those hot dots, and I mean, I didn't see a big difference. I mean, they were, guys were still hitting them, and they were still going. And like I said, we were on it, did our thing, and we needed this, with a lot of controversy going on with, the Suncoast and all that. We didn't really play too well down at the duel. Played real well at the Vegas at the start of the year, but not too well at the duel. And like everyone knows, not very well the first duel of Texas. But we put it together and did our thing the second duel. So,
yeah, it's definitely a good thing to see that you're starting to come together. Being a first-year major team, even though you've been a lot like Chick-fil-A, a lot like even Siteman's doing, that you're maintaining a core of the roster and it's going up. You're still learning a little bit more being at the major side than you are from the AA side, because, like you said, you're getting everybody's best swing. So their punch is coming as well as they can possibly do it. Speaking of my own personal weekend, I was supposed to fly in Wednesday night. That flight got canceled because our plane was leaking fuel. So ended up missing the first game on Thursday morning. I guess that's more of a safety thing, even though I wanted to play. But so I couldn't speak for us playing against Bay Area, even though it was on the big field as Bay Area's A team. Then we played Rebel on one of the smaller fields as my first game back. We ended up winning that one, had a decent little lead going into the seventh. The Rebels a very good hitting team. They struggled with a lot of walks. The wind got a little bit there, but the Rebel is a very good hitting team. I think we ended up winning that one like 30-29. Like all of our losses outside of Epic, losses and wins outside of Epic, were within 2 runs. So I think that a lot like these other A teams you're mentioning, we're right on that cusp. Then from Rebel, let's see here. From Rebel, we played True at that 7 a.m. game time. A lot like you were talking about there, where we got there bright and early. We were there hitting, everybody's nice and loose, and True rolls up 5 minutes before the game time. I don't think they were quite ready to play at that point. So you end up kind of boat racing that one. It was a 3-inning game. It was pretty solid little one. And then turned right back into Sports Reach. Sports Reach was a little wore out. They had a long night before. Jonas was a little beat up. Their backup pitcher, Blue, I'd never seen him before. But apparently he's pitched for Precision and other folks. I just had never had a chance to play against him. Very solid pitcher, very good hitter. And Sports Reach, man, they just started whacking it, and it's hard to keep up. But we ended up only losing that one by 1. So that put us out of the first one. I don't even really want to talk about the second duel. We had the rain delay thing. All of y'all's putting games 4.5 hours behind, got us moved over to the big field for the first game of the second duel, playing against the Amish, and they never give up. So they're hustling out of everything. We lost that one by 2, and then Epic put it on us. Point blank, they put it on us. Wind was really bad in that game, but boy, they hit it. So it was a pretty good little weekend for us. We got a lot to learn, but we'll continue to grow from there. But DW, what are your thoughts on the weekend? How did it go for you? I know you got to experience a lot more of it than we did.
Yeah, I just have some tidbits about the tournament. The travel weather was terrible. People getting into Dallas was rough. Long nights, early mornings, 3 days in a row. The ball and using different balls at random times was an interesting tidbit. It didn't seem to affect the outcome, but it could have been a lot of controversy there. They ran out of Pro-Am balls, so they had to use the Worth Hot Dot, which ended up making for better games. Mitch says it didn't feel much different to him, but the scores showed it. Instead of that championship game being 45-40, it was, I forget, 32-20 or something like that, 28-20, something like that. Too many teams, too few fields for a duel. Some people that stood out to me: John Brock, pinch hitter extraordinaire for Chick-fil-A. He just came in and mashed a home run against Epic to win the game. And every time I saw him, I think he got a hit. Mason Farmer stepping up, pitching start to finish against Rismondo in the championship game is impressive. And let's be honest, Competitive Edge is without Brandon Streets, so hopefully he gets healthy soon. You mentioned Bluzewski, pitcher for Sports Reach. He was all tournament, and he's been all tournament in the past with Precision. He hit it really well. Bunch of guys like Mitch, 900 on base percentages. The stats might have been the most home runs ever hit in a conference event. Like, homers were almost free with that Pro-Am at times. So that's about all I got. It was smash mouth conference softball. Let's be honest. It was infielders. Infielders were glad to see the hot dot ball come in, as well as pitchers, if you ask them. So I think that's the ball to use going forward. That or the Dudley High Core on 300-foot fields that have artificial turf. I think that's the ball to go with. That's my opinion.
Well, let's actually go into that a little bit. Let's go into the ball situation, because that seems to be the hot topic of everything for the weekend. Obviously, we can't really do anything about travel delays. Weather's going to be a weather thing. It is what it is. I do completely agree that you have far too many games and teams for far too few of fields. It's not like the Florida Duel, where you have a situation where some games are going to really speed up because you're going to get some low-scoring games on the big old baseball fields. 300-foot field with a Pro-Am ball that was very consistent. I think that all of you are going to agree when we go into that. It was a very consistent, very hard ball as compared to the hot dot we saw later. But let's talk about that overall. So we're going to start with the fielding side of it. Joel, Tanai, both of you, middle infielders. We'll start with Joel. What's the biggest difference you noticed going from this EB Pro-Am that, in my personal opinion, was fun to hit, to the hot dot? Did you notice that big of a difference from a fielding standpoint, or was it basically just the same for you?
Oh, you're muted.
Gotcha. From a hitting standpoint, no, not really. Because on the contrary, it's really, my logic kind of sticks out a little differently, where it's like the hard balls, like you could swing real hard and you could still miss, like, very well. And then like these like kind of softer ones, they kind of like absorb a little more punch. But then the hard ones go, it's a lot of back and forth, a lot of crazy trippy pitch selection things on there. But like for the most part, I feel like hitting the softer one, it gives me a little more of a zoom in challenge, like, please hit this ball well, like one of those feelings. But on the fielding side, it's not about the ball. Like, straight up, I thought Vegas was the fastest turf I've ever met. Like, second bounce, it's taken off faster than the exit velocity. Dallas says, hey, hold my beer, watch this. So then they put one right in Texas that I saw a ball as it was knuckling off the second bounce, making its way to my glove, and it was like kind of dancing. And I was like, And then I threw the ball, spiked it into the ground by like second base, and I hit my first baseman in the chest. Boom. Like, that's not even turf at that point. I'm not even sure what that is. That's like some form of like disc hockey, the disc golf. Because like, I was like, yo, and with the balls, it doesn't really switch up. And then like, it was more like how the turf and those two balls like really matched up. Because like, yeah, how much confidence did you have other than in midday when the ball was actually like real dry? Because then when it was wet, man, you might as well roll it over there. But like the switch up in the balls, JoJo Bennett's gonna hit it real hard, whether you throw a beach ball or not, and it's coming at you screaming. So you either sack up, and like I always tell my guys to my left and to my right, like when it comes to like these type of turfs, you have to keep the turf in mind. A place like Vieira is a little more forgiving. You could forget where you're at for a second and still play it like a regular ground ball. Not this place. Definitely not Texas, and definitely not Vegas. Myrtle's a little more wore in. I hear they returfed it. Like that's it. But like as far as the balls go, like I saw John Williams almost take my third baseman's shin out, and like that's the first time I ever seen that dude miss a ball. Like, and that was with the hot dots. So I was like, man, what's going on here? It was trippy. It was like it was real hard getting used to like. It was like, I guess we're like taking a page out of like the golf games book, because like dudes are hitting it 400 yards, no problem. But if I make it a par 16, let's see you do that the right way. So like really it's like the terrain along with a little bit of rain, just a little bit of moisture, just to keep it moist for everybody. And then like, but that's still not a deal breaker. Like dudes know how to play through that. So.
Gotcha. That makes sense. It sounds to me like you're saying more the turf made more of a difference for you than anything. Tonight, a lot of the same question, from a fielding standpoint, you're in the middle. You see it a little bit differently than Joel does because you're right behind the pitcher. Sometimes you get kind of covered up depending on the pitcher. Did you notice any of a difference from a fielding standpoint on the harder ball to the softer ball? Obviously the sluggers are meant to hit that slightly softer ball more so than the harder ball. Did you notice any difference from a hitting or fielding standpoint there?
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Bear. I think the 52, from a hitting standpoint, the slugger does hit it. Like that's the technology of it. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Obviously, Mitch, when they're swinging those Suncoast against the hard ones, you see a difference. You know what I mean? And obviously with the DeMarinis and the other stuff that's out there, the Pures. But when it comes to those 52 cores, like the Louis still strikes it just as well. So from a hitting standpoint, because we only used it once, so we used it against Resi, and it was a little moist to Joel's point, but we still hit it pretty well. And this is just completely just my own preference. From a fielding standpoint, I would much rather you hit a golf ball at me than the high core or the 52, because it bounces a lot more. Like it really does bounce. Like don't get me wrong. Bradley Jones probably the hardest hitting guy in the conference. In my opinion, there's no really him and Bubba. Like that's a close first and second to me. He hit me a ball in that Resi game that truly was dead at me, then went sideways. Like truly went sideways. So I'm not saying it doesn't do that with a hard ball, but that's the big difference that I don't. That's why I would much rather prefer hitting that Pro M anywhere. anywhere. Like, so either from a hitting standpoint, because let's be honest, we all play softball. We like hitting that ball into the building. Everybody likes doing that. So not saying you can't do that with the 52, but it's just not as fun. But from a standpoint of defensive wise, obviously, Bear, I'm sorry you pitch. Kyle, John, Cody, I'm sorry, my pitchers. But from a standpoint of being behind and you fielding it, I just feel like the harder ball stays true. Like, it really stays true to you. Like, against the Monster game, still hit me a ball to my backhand, and it stayed where it was at. Like, it really just stayed where it was at. Like, if you probably zoom in on that, when I made that play, my eyes probably not open. It's truly like, all right, there's the short hop, throw your glove at it, and it hit it, and I caught it. You know what I mean? Bradley hits a seed later that night with the 52. I'm in good position, eyes wide open, and it truly takes a U-turn. And I'm just like, okay, there goes that. So everybody's going to have their own preference, but just my own personal preference, I would much rather play with a hard ball because I feel like it stays true on that bounce. And if it's hard, the harder they hit it, the straighter it stays. The straighter it stays. So
absolutely. I don't disagree with that. I love it as a hitter, not so much as a pitcher, but that's, a little bit less distance than all of you get. But so Mitch, let's talk about it from a hitting standpoint a little bit, Mitch. But then also, what I want to hear, because I know that you love to get a lot of doubles out of the box, right? In Texas, I believe the two safety issues in Texas this past week were either the really, really hard ball going into the night or trying to slide into second base. Which one was safer for you? And then, how do you like hitting this ball? Does it make a difference to you which ball it is? Do you really care?
Well, like I said, we only played one game with the hot dot, which was Sunday in the championship against Resi. And like I said, I really didn't see a difference. Guys were still touching balls and they were going. And as far as in the outfield, though, I did notice that this hot dot does not knuckle like the Pro-Am, which I love. This is my first year in left field, man, and I've had some nasty knuckleballs hit at me. Like, I'm talking balls that look like they're on a joystick. Somebody's just moving them. So as far as that, I would prefer the hot dot to be hit at me in the outfield. And then, yes, the turf was tough. I remember Saturday night or Friday night, whatever night it was, our first game of the second duel. My first at bat, I hit a double in the gap and I go to slide in the second base and I ended up in left field. So it was, it was tough. But I mean, yeah, other than only having 5 or 6 at bats with the hot dot, I couldn't really, tell the difference between the balls.
Gotcha. Good deal. That's always a good thing to hear. Because personally, I think that the hot dot was the perfect amount of ball for the field.
I think so too.
Yeah, from a pitching standpoint, we're talking about the Rebel game, right? The really good hitting team, and the top of the seventh, or well, maybe it's top seventh. Yeah, top seventh when we're playing them, and I get 4 or 5 mishits that still go 315. That later on when we were playing like Epic, I got a miss hit or two, and Jose's catching it 3 feet from the fence. So it definitely does make a difference from that standpoint. The other thing we talk about, we talked about this post-Florida duel, going into post-Florida duel, and now you have 7 days, 9 days turnaround time period there. More injuries, more delays, late games, early mornings. Is this something that you guys think that maybe at the end of the day, the back-to-back duel is not necessarily the best answer? Do you feel like maybe they should space it a little bit, maybe put Myrtle in between there? Joel, what's your feelings on the back-to-back duel situation and the way the bracketing and all that went down?
I think I'm not muted.
You're good.
You're good.
I'm so torn because, I think we all know how many personalities I have, and they're all going in different directions. Okay, so for this particular topic, it's really black or white. I want wholeheartedly, me personally, thinking about my family, my situation, my priorities, how to compartmentalize and prioritize the things that I need in my life that are real stresses. All right, like the bills, the kids, the family, the wife, the car, the real deal stuff off the field. Therefore, this is my eccentric hobby, my exotic way of staying in shape, as well as, being respected, right? If it doesn't coincide with that, it can't fit. So I want it to fit right with my life. But I hear a lot of like the old school cats being like, how about you stop being such a pussy and just freaking play the game how everyone has always played it. They used to play on dirt. They used to play at 6 a.m. They used to do all the crazy stuff. All I hear is wham. Yo, we talk about Resmondo a lot, but it's because of things like, how many times in your life do you run through the loser's bracket? And then like that has only happened to me a handful of times. And then like you have that one or two teammate that you run into, and that's like the only thing you guys keep associating to. Like, you remember that time we went 14 games through the loser's bracket? I mean, that happens to you once in a while. Resmondo does that occasionally, almost all the time, if they don't win through the bracket. Like, they all that time playing through the night. Those dudes are 1,000 years old, still killing it. Everyone there has more gray hair than everyone's parents put together. They're old as hell, hitting it harder than everyone put together. They're still the shiznit. Still, everybody's wants to be a little bit. You guys need a water boy? Do you guys need anybody? Not a single complaint. Like, you'll have your lamentations. You're like, they should really switch the balls out. It's about the most I hear out of there. But that's America's favorite cult, and you got to pay your dues to be in that cult. So the other major teams, bro, it's so incredible. It's so crazy how things happen that way. But I'm not here to talk smack because I'm part of you guys. TA, Mr. Lendenski. A couple years ago, when people wanted to play us in the bracket, they were like, yes, because these guys suck. And now we're at the top, and now they're like, oh, bro, now we got to play against these guys. Like, damn, oh, like, right now they know. It takes a couple years to get a little better. Just get a little better. How about that one? Just get a little better. Sock up. It's freaking softball, just like that. Yeah, you signed up for it. Don't come. Don't come. If you're going to whine about it like that, like, don't come. Sack up. Play your game at 7 a.m. Do your BP. Like make the sport better. Like, cheer each other on. Man, like, bro, it's like, you got to try real hard. I'm not going to lie. There's going to be times where I'm like, I really hope I go 0-2. I'm not going to lie. That happens to me. I'm human. I'm tired. All right? I'm ready to go home. But then throughout the week, it'll eat at you. And you know that you'd rather be at home like, oh, bro, I'm so sore. But you're glad you won those games. It's time to freaking, like, just make it better. Just make it better. Like, run through it. Like, muscle it through. Duels are awesome. We got more games now. You know how many dudes are going to go 0-2 and go home? Be like, hey, now you can go 0-4. Nice.
Yep. Solid viewpoint there. I'm a big fan of the whole you just play with the cards you're dealt. Mitch, speaking of competitive edge, I've had a couple of late nights, couple of early mornings, all that fun stuff. You got several good games in the second duel. We kind of struggled in the first. How did you get any more injuries there? Things like that. What is it? Do you feel like the two duels almost back to back is a good or bad thing?
I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. I liked it. And it was kind of a team running joke that we should play on no sleep more often, the way that we played the second duel. But no, I mean, it's part of it. You go into it knowing it's a duel, you're going to play, tons of games, and you just got to deal with it. And it was kind of funny when I landed home on Sunday night at like midnight. It was too late for the wife to come pick me up. So I booked an Uber, and I was talking with the Uber guy, and he saw my softball bags or whatever. He's like, so you play softball? I'm like, yeah. And we just got to talking. I was like, yeah, man, I'm worn out. We played, 10 games in 2 tournaments. And he goes, 10 games in 2 tournaments? He goes, son, we used to play 10 games in 1 tournament, So, I mean, it's part of the game. I mean, we all love it. We might all complain about it, at the time, but, when we get back home, we're like, damn, that was a good time. It was all worth it. And as far as injuries, other than Farron getting his foot blown off, no, not really. But I checked in on him this morning. He's good. He said he's been doing the old ice and hot treatment, so he's doing all right. I can't think of any other injuries. The only other kind of injury we had was my boy Jobo. And this guy, he was 17 for 18 on the tournament, the dual number 2. And he actually missed the Nitro and Resi game Saturday night. And it was due to, we believe, food poisoning. Him and I, we went to Fuzzy's, and my guy had about 18 tacos and wondered why he wasn't feeling too well. So, but no, he was pretty sick. He woke up. We were about to go to the Resi game, and he started getting like the cold shivers and stuff. So we told him to stay home. But other than that, no, there wasn't really any other injuries. So
good to hear y'all got out of there injury free. You know, speaking of Jobo, when you're the size of a small double wide trailer, you kind of have to eat 18 tacos to be able to keep going.
Yeah, for sure.
Tonight, you know, obviously y'all did fantastic in the first duel. Second duel, you ran out of steam a little bit there. You know, maybe that's a byproduct of the short turnarounds, all that fun stuff. You know, what do you think about the 2 duels in the short time period there?
I think I agree with what everybody's saying so far. Like, it's what we signed up for. You know what I mean? It is what it is, as the saying goes. And another saying that I always go with is that we could be addicted to other worse stuff. Being addicted to alcohol, it's not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? We're addicted to that competition that we get from playing against guys like Mitch, Bear, and Joel. And, you know, my wife and my daughter, they're with me. So it's one of those things where, you know, all of it is right there with me. So it's nothing that I need to try to get away from or try to get home to. Like, she's right there. So, and my peanut is right there with me. So, again, you know, obviously no one likes getting up or not going to sleep and then going to play softball. But to Joel's point, to Mitch's point, when you wake up on that Monday, you know, morning to go to work or do whatever you want to do, you want to feel good about what you accomplished that weekend. Yeah, to Joel's point, you get to the point you're like, man, I'm fucking tired. I'm tired. But, oh well. Like, because your friends are watching, your acquaintances are watching. Like, people are going to want to know what happened. And you want to give that answer to go, dude, we just, you know, you don't want to say I was tired and I gave up. You want to go, hey, we got a little rundown and we played a better team. And it is what it is. But I think from a standpoint of the scheduling of it, it's just like you're going to have to do it somewhere. You know what I mean? And again, they've taken a lot of stuff away from the area up here. You know, I'm from West Virginia. John's obviously we're based out of Virginia. We can't really drive to a lot of stuff anymore. So this is the situation at hand now of the way the conference has moved forward, is that this is how you get your points early. Like, you got to go to these duels to get your points early to get those tournaments stacked up so you really know where you're standing. From an injury standpoint, I think we just overexertion. Like, nobody got hurt, nobody pulled anything, anything like that. It's just that Mitch didn't play 10 games, we played 9. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where, hey, you know, but at the end of it all, it's what we signed up for, it's what John signed up for, and it's what we keep coming back. I mean, we're in the gym on Monday afternoon. Like, that's how much it's ingrained into you. Like, there's no getting around that. Like, you come home, you get a little loose, you drink your BCAA, you go work out, you feel better. You know what I mean? So it's simple as that, man. As simple as that. So I obviously, if I don't like really speaking on changing something, if you don't have an answer, I don't have an answer what you would change. You know what I mean? What are you going to change? Like it is what it is. It's to DW's point from earlier, maybe you do it where you have, you know, 12 or 16 field complex. But other than having more fields, you're always going to get behind. We're grown ass men out here hitting the ball. Like, we're going to score runs. So, you know.
Yep, completely agree. Totally understand it. And Joel, I didn't mention the injury thing with y'all. I totally forgot there. But, you know, a shout out to my good friend Tyler Wiles. I hope he heals up really quickly. He has a slight little bicep issue there. I'm not sure what exactly is going on, but he says it's pretty rough. So hopefully he heals up well. Hopefully y'all had no other injuries. We didn't have any. Luckily, I got out of there unscathed. First tournament back, 6 games, or well, five because I missed one. No issues with the knee. It's always a good thing. But Dale, you know, from a media standpoint, 2 duels back to back, you have a ton of content to go through. You're pushing stuff out daily, multiple times a day, even, and then doing hit and sit and all that fun stuff. How do you like the 2 duels for you?
Yeah, it's rough. You can't when you have 33 conference teams, you can't really cover them all. So you try to pick and choose some games and do the condensed games for them. And do what we can. The report will probably won't even be out till tomorrow, but I just wanted to say I think Texas should go back to a single and leave the other 3 duels. That would be my opinion.
Gotcha. Yep. I completely agree. I think that it would be ideal to Texas not being a duel, to be honest. But that's just my thought there. But wrapping up this particular show here, obviously we've had a good panel of guests, some different insight. Just going around the room for final thoughts here, Mitch. Again, congratulations winning that second duel there, getting yourselves rolling, even with the whole bat turmoil, all that stuff. Do you have any final thoughts on the weekend? Looking forward to anything like that?
No, just looking forward to the next one, man. We're going to be going to Nashville, and we're playing some good ball. Got some time to heal up, and just looking forward to the next one. So,
good deal. Well, thank you again for joining tonight. Again, congratulations again for you winning the first duel. Really good tournament. Do you have any final thoughts on anything?
Nah, man. Just being a grown kid, man. That's what we all keep doing. That's what we all look forward to do. We'll be in the same boat with Mitch and them. We'll go again in Nashville. Looking forward to it, and get the chickens back out there, and FEA all day. So.
Absolutely. And Joel, obviously, thank you for being consistent here, and congratulations on a pretty good weekend yourself. And it might not have been exactly what you wanted, but it was still a good weekend for you. Any final thoughts?
First, yeah, DW, always thank you for putting everything together. I don't know how you're in 100 places at all the same time.
Yeah, my bad about that, D-Dub. Didn't give you a shout out, man.
He's the man, bro. He's the freaking man. Corny out of DeMarini. I really appreciate you, Corny. Keith out of Mayos. And I have one little complaint that little thing that I said earlier about how people used to like playing us when they saw us in the bracket. There's now one team in the conference right now that you can't get smacked up by. Every freaking team. We forgot to mention. We mentioned Sports Reach, but not enough, really, in my opinion. You got JBL, you got Bay Area. There's 2 of them, by the way, and then you got Nitro Circus. And did we forget about RoofX? All these, everyone, you can get it from everybody. Epic is killing it. My boy Derek Knight in center field. I think this is the first time that there's not one team. There's not one team. I'm a little mad about it because you need your first couple wins. You just want a warm up round, like a confidence builder, something. And there's nothing. There's not one team out there that you can get smacked up by. So I think so far everyone is like, man, damn. TA and Lendenski. You remember we were A? And we used to get beat up by everybody all the freaking time. Oh my gosh, that happened like 5 seconds.
Yeah, times were rough, man.
And now you guys are at the tip. Now you guys are at the totem pole, killing it.
Yeah. Hey, one thing I do want to say is give a shout out to Mark Patterson, Mark Berniez, Brian Hill, Misty Hill, my sponsors, and then also just all the sponsors in the conference, because at the end of the day, without the sponsors, we would not be able to play this game. So I'm going to give a shout out to them for sure.
100%. D-Dub, let me get mine back in there too. Obviously, John Natale, everybody knows Chick-fil-A would not be here with John Natale. Great story there, going from E to AA. That's who we are. So creates a great environment for us to be kids, and we wouldn't be here, to Mitch's point, without all our sponsors. But for myself personally, and probably 6 or 7 guys on my team, we wouldn't be here without John Natale. It's period. There's no getting around that. So that goes without saying, but it needs to be said out loud sometimes. So
absolutely. Huge shout out to all the folks that made the conference happen. DW, you have any final thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think we didn't talk about Rismondo a lot. They finished second twice. They basically didn't leave the field for 4 days. And to Joel's point, they are the team. They get in the loser's bracket. They don't complain. They just play ball all night, all day, and wound up twice. They have a 170-point lead in the conference. I picked them to finish 4th in the points, and they're first by 170 points. I do have that video ready if Dawson can cue me up. Hopefully we play it this time. I just want to show you guys the video, and then we'll wrap it up. But thanks for coming in, guys. Here's Joel making a play. Can you guys see it this time?
Yeah.
I hope. Just some clips I had from the weekend. Tanai, who was defensive MVP of the first duel, making a couple plays up the middle here against Epic.
Oh,
good range there for a big guy.
That's sexual. I like that. Oh,
got some hops. You probably play a little basketball at some point.
Shout out to my buddy Travis Renner. He hits me ground balls every Tuesdays and Thursdays. This don't happen just because I wanted to.
And then he's whacking a home run here in the championship. It's like 2 a.m. in the morning. Got the gold chain going.
Yummy.
And then there's Mitch. Mitch just got better as the tournament went on. Like, some people tire out. This guy just kept hitting it. I think 4, 5, 6 hits in a championship game. This is a championship here. This last at bat, no home runs left. So he just kind of punches it. Watch this. Punch right to the gap. He knew he wasn't, he kept it in the park. Another double, which almost it's like 70% of his hits are extra bases, which is crazy when you think about it. And here's the blooper of the week. Daniel Caton taking on Pearson. What do you do? What do you do? Pearson's coming at you.
You stop. You stop. What you do?
Watch this. The turf was a little slick.
Bro,
here's a little slow-mo. He actually never touches the base. He goes around
That makes me hurt.
misses it, and then
Is he safe though? He's safe.
No, he was out. Pearson touches first base. He was out.
But
so that's my little video there. Hopefully everyone at home saw it.
Goodness gracious. Oh, that makes my knee. That just makes my knee ache.
Good joints.
But either way, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Hit and Sit number 27. I do want to put in here for my final thoughts. If you have topics you want us to discuss, if you have something you want to hear, conference.USSSA.com, message boards, Old Scout, the USSSA Live, where we're sitting there doing this right now on the USSSA's Facebook page. Put it in the comments. If it's something we can address, I'll make sure it gets put in here. So that's my final thoughts here. Somebody, if you have something you want us to address, put it in those comments. We'll try to get to it. But again, thank you for all our panels for being on today. Thank you again for everybody joining in. Without y'all, we don't get to make this happen. So it's really good to see everyone here joining. But again, this has been Hit and Sit number 27. Again, conference.USSSA.com, Old Scout message board, all that fun stuff. Hit and Sit number 27. We'll see you later.
Later.